Welcome to Defeat Your Cravings, hosted by Dr. Glenn Livingston, PhD. Glenn has held his doctorate in psychology for more than 30 years and is also a former multi-million-dollar consultant to the big food industry and uses his experience to help you defeat your cravings. This show will help you to focus on dramatically reducing cravings and leave the diet mentality behind, so you can more easily and effortlessly achieve your health, fitness, and body composition goals. Please remember, no doctor-patient relationship is created via this show, and you are responsible for confirming any changes to your diet, health, or psychological routines with an appropriately licensed professional before implementing them. Now, before we get started, if you haven't yet downloaded the free smartphone app to access dozens of these recordings all in one place, as well as to avail yourself of a confidential community for support, motivation, and assistance, please visit the podcast link on defeatyourcravings.com as soon as possible. And now, here's your host, Dr. Glenn Livingston.
Hey, it's the very good Dr. Glenn Livingston with defeatyourcravings.com. I am here with a kind-hearted woman named Heather, who has agreed to let me record this so that you can benefit from her experience and strength and hope and wisdom, as well as her trials and tribulations and stumbles and falls. Right, Heather?
Yes, that is right.
Why don't you give me a little bit of history of your struggles with food before you came to us, and then tell me what happened.
Yes, for sure. So my whole life, I would be a normal weight, then I would become overweight and then normal weight. And I remember when I was, 14 years old, I began my first official diet, which was Weight Watchers. And then my dieting career took off from then all the way until I was probably, 27, 28. And I got to 326 pounds, morbidly obese. And I couldn't do the things that people take for granted, like tie my shoes. I could not fit in a booth. I couldn't go on an airline without having to get 2 seats. I was very, very conscientious of how people would look at me, how they would stare at me, how they would judge me. And it really does something to your psyche when people automatically have a judgment of you without even knowing you. And even though I was so obese, I still felt unseen and I felt invisible. People see you, they don't see you. And so in 2003, I got the gastric bypass after doing a lot of research. I did think that was probably going to be the easy way out. But at that moment, I didn't care. It was just like, I have to do something to save my life, because I'll never forget it. I went into the plus size women's store and I had maxed out at their largest size, and I was going to have to get my clothes handmade. I could not fit into their clothes anymore. And so I knew something had to change. So I did do the gastric bypass, but I said, this has to be just a tool. Like, I'm going to have to change who I am in order for this to work. And so I started losing weight from the gastric bypass, and I felt so good in my skin. I was like, I have to help people. Like, I have to let them know that there's help out there. And so I left my job. I used to work, I don't know if you're familiar with Budweiser. I used to work at Budweiser for 12 years. Even though I didn't drink, I still worked there. And so I got into fitness because I felt like I have to help people. So ever since 2005, I've been in health and fitness. I started helping people, and I think helping people, and you know this, just like you help us on your calls and in your books and in your podcasts and in your program, Defeating Cravings, you help us, it helps you, because you lead by example. It holds you accountable.
I would do this for free if I didn't have bills to pay.
Absolutely. Yes, yes, yes. So about a year ago, I started noticing that I was not going back to the 326-pound person that I was, not going full out binging, but I wasn't doing the healthy things as much as I could have been, as much as I should have been. And so I knew, because I had been doing this 20 years, that I needed help. But I also knew I'm not going on a diet because I already eat healthy. I just need a little bit of help. And that's when I went on Amazon, and I was so attracted to your book. I'm looking at it right now, Defeat Your Cravings, The Backdoor to Weight Loss. And your book resonated with me for a couple of reasons. Number one, not even knowing your story, just the fact that you are a PhD and you're very scientific and kind of nerdy. I love the fact that you are presenting the science behind it. That was number one. Number two, what really, 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 really made me fall in love with your book is that you have been where I am. Like, you have been in my shoes. You know the exact feelings that I went through. You know everything that I was feeling. So it's like I had a trust in you. Like, yes, this person can help me just by reading your book. And I'm like, okay, if I've made this much progress just in reading his book, can you imagine what would happen if I did the program? And it's like, I had to do it. And there was just something about just your genuineness, your authenticity, your vulnerability, the fact that you, like you said, that you would do this for free. I can tell that. Like, I know that in just how you come to the calls, how you do your podcast, how you do the programs. I could just have faith in you that you could help me. And like I told you, out of the hundreds of thousands of dollars I've spent over the years on personal development, this is the only program that I completed every single module. And like, I was proud of myself. I celebrated because I'm like, wow, I did that, but I didn't do that on my own. I did that because of you and my coach, and just the way the modules were set up. It was like you were in my head, and it was amazing. Amazing.
What changed when you got into the program, and why do you think it changed?
It was so many things. Number one was identifying what you call your pig. That was so refreshing because I'm like, okay, this isn't just me. It's this thing that wants to overeat, that wants to undo all the progress. And I could attribute that to, that is this little certain part of me, the pig, that I can have refutations with, I can talk to, I can be the master and not the slave. So to pinpoint that this little thing is not me, that was so helping. And the second thing was this identity shift. Because if I didn't shift my identity and I still operated as this 326-pound person, even though I lost 190 pounds, I'm always going to go back to her because it's easy, because it's maybe fun, and there's no thinking involved. It's just I would go back to her. But once I did the modules and I had this identity shift of I am a fit person, I am a healthy person, I am a strong person, you would always say something about in alignment. You have to be in alignment. If you're in alignment and that is your true identity shift, then you won't be doing those behaviors because that is not you. Like, it's antithetical, or I don't know how to say that word, but it's the opposite of who you are. So I can't go back to her because I have an identity shift.
What is it that accomplished that shift inside of the program for you? I understand that separating your constructive versus destructive thoughts about food into this fictitious entity that wanted you to overeat, I understand that was helpful. Is that what accomplished the identity shift, that you more thoroughly identify with your constructive thoughts?
Yes, absolutely. That part right there. And just having conversations with myself every day that who do I want to be today? How am I showing up today? Who am I going to help today? And so if I show up as her, as that fit, strong, powerful, bold woman, then it makes it so much easier to just stay on track and eat well and move my body, because that's me. That's just who I am now. So that's what changed the identity shift. Yes.
That makes sense. Which pieces and parts of the program did you find most valuable?
Okay, two things, actually three. Number one, having your own personal coach. 15 minutes is super short, so you have to be like really dialed in on what you want out of the conversation. But just knowing that someone is waiting for me, that I can get a different perspective, that they've been through what I've been through, those were really, really powerful. And then the Q&A calls, it was so awesome to be on the calls, so beneficial to me to hear other people's stories, to know that I'm not struggling in this on my own, or to get a different perspective on maybe the way I'm approaching it that I would learn from you and then the other students on the call. So those two things, and completing the modules and doing the homework. Those were the three things. And I will tell you what I told Yvonne is, just like an alcoholic, if they're trying to get off alcohol, they make their sobriety a number one thing. And that's what I did with this. I said, okay, these Defeat Your Craving calls are going to be non-negotiable. Getting with my coach, non-negotiable. This has got to be a priority, period, end. I don't care how tired I am. I don't care what's going on. I'm showing up for myself and I'm doing this. And that was it. And here I am.
Were there any particular refutations any logic that your pig was using that you disempowered with your coach or by yourself or through the program?
Absolutely. Always one that would go back to is the whole thing. Everyone always says it, I'll start tomorrow. That always came up. And I would look at my list of rules that I made, and I would read those rules over and over and over. And when I would not listen to the pig, or when I would have a refutation, you become stronger in that power. And I would wake up so proud of myself in the morning. And I just wouldn't allow myself to go down that rabbit hole most of the time.
What was the refutation that you used to effectively disempower the idea that you could start tomorrow?
I would tell myself I can eat healthy now. That's all I have is this moment, that I can eat healthy in this moment.
Because we only ever have the present moment to be healthy.
Yeah, that's right. And I knew I had made progress because I would walk into the grocery store and it was the dang Krispy Kreme donuts. And, it got so bad there for a little while, I would be just eating donuts in the store. That's how bad it got. And so I used this program to refute those cravings and that talk.
Beautiful. Beautiful. Were there any interactions with your coach that were transformational for you?
Oh, many. Like every week, I feel like we would have little nuggets or breakthroughs. And I would just talk through Yvonne and ask her, not necessarily like what she would do because everyone is so different, but just what her experience was. And I think just like with you, knowing that you've been through this and you've done that really helped me just get a different perspective on each little call.
Is there anything specific that she told you that you can remember that would be helpful?
Yes. So I dug deep into why I was probably craving sugar. And this is going to sound so weird, but, I'm 50 and I haven't dated in a long time. And I told her, I miss those cat calls. I miss being complimented and just, that feeling of being wanted. I didn't have that, but I had to really look at, okay, this is why I'm wanting to overeat because I'm lacking in this area, or not lacking, but I don't have that. Because you would break down, you need nature and you need connection and community. And I'm like, what is it on here that I don't have that food is trying to fill that void? And so that was it. We really went deep and she helped me with that. Be like, yeah, I crave, connection. And it was powerful.
And feeling wanted, feeling desired.
Absolutely. Yes. You got it. Yes.
Heather, is there anything that I should have asked you that I didn't ask you? Anything else you really wanted to share or tell people about the program? Were you frightened about the money? Were you frightened about the time that would be involved? Did you have any other resistance to it?
No, I wasn't afraid of the time. I wasn't afraid of the money because like I told you, I was going to make myself a priority and I was going to make this program a priority. And I showed up each day and put in the work and it will change your life. How do I explain it? It will change your life in the sense of it will change your identity. You will look at diets so differently because it's not a diet you need. It's a whole new way of thinking. And that's what your program gave me is just how I think, what's between my ears.
Beautiful. And just for the audience's benefit, I know you didn't lose all the weight as a result of the program, but where do you stand now if you're open to sharing it?
Yes. So I lost 5 pounds. And more importantly, I've just changed the composition of my body, just how clothes fit, my measurements, just my energy, how I carry myself. I'm just so proud of myself. I hope that doesn't come off egotistically, but I'm dang proud of myself because the program is just amazing and it makes you want to keep going. It makes you want to keep showing up. It makes you want to finish the modules, not because you've invested time and money, but because every week you are changing and you are thinking differently and you're like, wow, there's a better way, there's a better path, there's a better life for me.
I'm so happy. Thank you for sharing that. Any way that I can help you?
You have helped me beyond measure. I don't know of anything else you could do for me. You did it. The books, the calls, everything.
Okay.
Just an honor to be here. You have thousands of students. And for giving me this opportunity, I really am so grateful. If we help just one person, it's all worth it.
Beautiful. You'll help a lot more than one person, I promise. Thanks, Heather. Have a lovely weekend.
Okay, you too. Bye-bye.
Bye.
And that brings us to the end of today's broadcast of Defeat Your Cravings, hosted by Dr. Glenn Livingston. Now, if you'd like to find out more about the products and services Dr. Glenn offers to help you dramatically reduce your cravings and stop overeating in 90 days or less, please visit defeatyourcravingscoaching.com. That's defeatyourcravingscoaching.com. Thanks.